I
You know,
assume you're a
Drew,
Bruins fan, right? I mean, you're in Boston. You have to be a Bruins fan, right?
I am. Yes,
Yeah.
so I'm originally from New Hampshire, so I've been in the Northeast pretty much my entire adult life. I went to school in upstate New York, so a brief foray into there. Yeah, I actually like college hockey a lot too. So like, there's
Yeah.
there's from the school that I went to was a big college hockey school. Um and I know folks that played at like, BU and stuff. Boston
Okay.
University. Um so yeah, I mean, I'm sorry about the Flyers just
Oh,
perpetually,
dude.
but very much this
Oh my
year.
God. Yeah. I don't know what happened. Like we looked like we looked like a real hockey team before COVID. We were going to make the playoffs without it being like well, if everybody else loses, we might make the playoffs. Like we weren't going to squeak in. We were in. And then the bubble, we ended after the round robin, we were in first place. We should have crushed it. And then we didn't. And then when hockey came back, it was like, what the heck happened to this team? It's like we don't know how to play hockey anymore. And this season has been, I mean, I know that the 2020 mascot was a dumpster fire, but I also feel like the Flyers recently have just adopted that mascot instead of Gritty. It's just been a dumpster fire. It's been, I mean, there's been some shining parts, like Joel Farabee is definitely turning into a great hockey player, and Travis Sanheim has really bloomed, but like I don't know, this season has just kind of blown. Like I was just actually in Florida to watch a Panthers game, which was great because I got to see G, but like man, what a different experience watching like skilled hockey teams play. They were playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, so it was two good teams going at it. It was like, wow, this is very different than the Flyers the hockey I've been watching this season. Because the Flyers have just not. It's just like, but I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I just don't know enough about professional hockey because I've only been watching it for I don't know 12 years now. But like I don't know what the fix is. Like they fired the head coach and nothing changed, right? Like we didn't magically get better. There wasn't like, ooh, cool, pep in our step. They're scared because someone got fired. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Like I don't know. Boy,
Yeah.
go off on. We don't want to turn this into a hockey podcast where I just vent about my team. There are exciting bits, and not having Coots this season, obviously that's a huge miss. And then Giroux leaving, and Ryan Ellis coming in was supposed to be this huge boost to our defense, and then he played what 3 or 4 games and then gone for the season. Oh, okay. I don't know. It definitely didn't materialize into the season I kind of thought it could have been in the off season. And I'm like, all right, well, we're definitely gonna have to try something different. And it doesn't feel like they are. It feels like they're just like, nah, we're just gonna, retool a little bit instead of rebuild. It'll be fine. But how's
Yeah.
things with the Bruins?
And I know Yandel hasn't had the greatest year, but just
No.
not being in tune with the local Broad Street media. Was there ever an explanation as to why they didn't let him continue his Iron Man streak? Because like, no offense, but it's not like, I don't know. Was it gonna make that much of a difference if like he sits
Yeah.
for a game and like you bring in someone else and gonna shore up that deep pairing?
Yeah, I think it was one of those they let him get the Iron Man status, and then it was more of a well, we need to give looks to the guys in the AHL and the guys coming up. We need them to have ice time in the NHL. I don't I think that if it wasn't for his Iron Man streak, he would have been benched, you know, far sooner. Like he's not. I mean, everyone talks about how good of a guy he is, how good of a teammate, and I know he's had a long career, and he's obviously a skilled player. Anyone in the NHL is obviously a skilled player, but he just hasn't had a good year. And I think if it wasn't for his streak, he would have been benched much earlier. So I'm not, like cool. They go let him get the streak, and then they had to do other things. Now, why he got back into the lineup over some people, I don't know, because but I don't know. Like I said, a little bit of a dumpster fire this season, unfortunately. I mean, I still go to games and I still wear my jersey and I still follow along, but it's been a bit of a painful season, one of the more painful ones in recent memory for me. being a hockey fan. My girlfriend she's more of a fan of Marc-Andre Fleury. Like that's just, I don't know why, but like she's played hockey for years, right? But never watched the NHL, never got into, she lives in Philadelphia, but never really got into the Flyers, never got a team. And then for whatever reason, just randomly started following hockey, thought Marc-Andre Fleury was a cool goaltender, started following him, and he was on the Knights, right? That's when she started watching hockey. So she's a big Knights fan. So we've been out to Vegas to see games. That was a lot of fun. Really cool stadium. If you have a chance to go, like, damn, they not a hockey town per se, but they get pumped. But then he got traded to Chicago, so we started watching a lot of Chicago games. Now he's on the Wild, so we watch a lot of Wild games, and it's been really interesting seeing it from that perspective, where it's like, I watch the Flyers, right? And like players come and go, and she's like, I watch Marc-Andre Fleury, and then, you know, he was on the Knights for a while, which is an awesome team to watch, and then they kind of fell apart because, I don't know, they got rid of Fleury, I guess. Yeah, right. And then we were watching Chicago. So I've like started like following more teams because of that, because of the way she watches. And it's like, it's a really interesting way to approach just enjoying the game. But to your point, yeah, I actually started watching more this year just because I think maybe my NHL team was just so little. But like I watched a lot more college hockey this season, and it was awesome. It is a really fun version of the sport to watch. It's a little bit different. And then the other thing that, you know, my girlfriend got me into watching was the women's professional hockey teams, where, you know, that's not a full Czech league.
Right.
So you don't get the full blown open ice hits or anything. But so because of that, I feel like the way that these players move around the puck and move around each other, dude, you see some cool shit on the women's professional teams. Like we've been watching our local teams, the Riveters. We've seen a bunch of different ones just wherever we are. And that is another cool one, just in a similar way that college hockey is just a little bit different than the NHL. You end up seeing a little more of like, in college hockey, I feel like you see the plays develop more than the NHL. It's not individual creativity. It's more that the team building these plays and setting things up a lot more. Or at least I see it a lot more in college. And then it translates really nicely over to the women's professional hockey, where they move, they're so fast and they're so smooth, and they like dip around each other because they can't hit. So now it's not, oh, I'm just going to crush you into the boards to get the puck. It's like, no, I have to be fancy and I have to move around and I have to use my teammates more effectively. It's a really fun way to enjoy the sport.
Yeah, I will say that I'm not knowledgeable enough about women's professional hockey other than to say, go Boston Pride. And I'm sure the Riveters are lovely people individually, but
yeah, you got to
geographic allegiances being what they will.
Of course.
What I will say about the college game is that if you have a local college, go. And I say that because it's more accessible, but also because if you're not a hockey person, look, like hockey's hard to watch on TV. Mm-hmm. It just is. Like, yeah, I'll own that as a hockey fan. But it might be easier, and it's definitely more affordable to get to a college game.
Absolutely.
And the experience in the arena is so much drastically different, and so much fun. And even if you are willing to watch it on TV, the college tournament every year is so great. It's only 16 teams as opposed to like the basketball 64/68, depending on what you believe when the actual tournament starts. And that's because there are only so many D1 college teams, quite frankly. If there were 64, it'd be everybody made the tournament. But it's really like, you know, people talk about like, 16's only beaten a one time, but like in the hockey tournament, it happens all the time that the overall number one, not all the time, but like it's not uncommon enough that the overall number one will lose to the 4 seed that just won their conference tournament and just barely made it in. It's win and go home. It's a lot of fun. I'm at an age where I can say the kids, the kids are really putting everything they got into it.
Man. Yeah, that makes me feel old, but you're right.
Yeah. I've already gotten to the stage where I'm just like, oh, everybody my age is retiring from professional sports because of the toll it's taken on their body. And I'm like, I thought I was doing okay.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's the other nice thing about hockey in person versus on TV is I think it slows down a lot on TV. Man, you get to see it in person and you realize how much faster these guys are moving, and it's wild. Like you move quick on skates. If you've never been ice skating before, it might be hard to appreciate, but these guys move really well. The kids, everybody, they move so smooth and clean and fast on skates, and when you see it in person versus on TV, it's like, whoa, how that I can't do that in sneakers. Dang.
It's also easier because of the field of vision you have, right? Like
Yeah.
you can see the full play develop. Like that, like they cannot put the full sheet of ice on the TV at any given time, right? So like even simple things of like you might have missed that a player went off for a line change because it was off camera.
Right.
Right. While they're focusing on the scrum in the corner, like you don't even know that the D changed out. Right.
Yeah.
And you don't know that the entire right side of the ice is wide open if they can pick it out of the corner and send it up the ice to their forward. Right. But if you're there, you're like, oh no, like,
yeah,
that entire section is just like completely empty. Someone should do something there.
Yeah. It's a very cool sport to watch live. If you can't get to a game, by all means, just watch it on TV because like you'll still start to enjoy it once you wrap your head around it. But yeah, I agree with you. If you can get out to a game, definitely. And if you're worried about it being like, oh, I can't spend that much money on tickets and then beer's $20 each at an NHL arena, like definitely go to a college game. They're awesome and they're fast. And these yeah, I guess kids. I'm just going to use kids. They're skilled. They're really skilled. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be dismissive. They are adults.
Right. No, I don't mean kids in a demeaning way. I mean it in a substantially younger than me. I remember when I was that age, kind of in my old age. I'm fondly remembering, I guess.
Yes. There was a time when I would consider them peers, and now they're younger and better than me.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you know, I play hockey, and by play I mean I go out on skates with a stick and a puck, and like there's occasionally a ref because I play in a beer league. Like it's not. I do.
Sometimes I go backwards.
Occasionally. Right, I do. I do that better than forward sometimes. But I play like. Sometimes I'll play like a pickup game at a local rink and I'll end up playing with guys who are in their 60s but played in college and just never made it to the NHL. And they're like, yeah, I haven't played in like 10 years. And they get out and they're just like flying around. I'm like, dude, you are in your 60s. You're going to break something. Stop that. And they're like, no, they move so well. It's all the skating. It's like once you got the skating down, everything else is just like, whatever, I can move to where I need to be. So we're good to go. These guys are nuts. They're insanely good. And it's so much fun to play around them because they just got this like instinct about the game that I started playing when I was 30. So I've only been playing for 5 years, and they just played for so long and they played at that time where it just is in their head forever. Man, it's such a different sense in the way they can set plays up and the game slows down for them. It's so fun to watch and to play with them and to see like these old dudes who like they're walking in and their bags look like they're going to topple them over because they're old dudes, like white hair and wrinkly. Like, I'm not making fun of them. They're old dudes, but they skate like way better than some of the 30-year-olds out there. No problem. They're just moving because they just can. It's awesome. Yeah. But sorry for taking up so much extra time. I know we didn't plan on it, but I would have been remiss if we did not at least go on a little bit of a hockey rant. Thank you for your sympathies about my team's season.
I mean, you'll have some more time coming up to focus on other things.
Right? Well, yeah, I'll watch playoff hockey. I always watch playoff hockey. But you guys, where are you? Your second place?
Awesome. So I'm not on the team, to be perfectly clear. I have had
your
to
team.
Do.
The team you follow is second place in the Metro, right?
They're currently the first wild card.
Oh, first wild card. Okay. This is how much I've actually been checking stats over the past couple of weeks. But, well, you guys got it locked up?
I believe we have clinched. Yes, I don't
I would
believe
hope
we've
so,
clinched
with
our
only-
position, but I believe we have secured
Okay.
a playoff berth.
Yeah. For anyone listening to this, there are 2 to 3 games left in the season. So I would hope
And they're all
that they have
happening in
clinched.
a day.
Yeah.
The end
Yeah,
of the season
they
has
are.
been silly compressed.
Yeah, and then there's playoff hockey, which is always exciting to watch. If you're going to pick a time to start watching hockey, that's a fun time because games are crazy fast. So, cool, man. Well, thanks for staying on for the bonus round of hockey.
Sure.
Appreciate it. And I was not kidding when I said we'll get you back on when you get settled in at your new job. Definitely reach out and let me know when you're ready for another episode. I'm going to stop the recording.